Today you will meet Kate and her baby Everly. I worked with them for 8 days during my consultation program to show you that it's possible to recover from bottle aversion. Everly recovered within 3 days. I picked the most severe bottle aversion case out of those families that applied for the case study because I want to give you hope. Most of the parents think that their babies are the worst when it comes to bottle aversion, so I wanted to show you a severe case and how that baby is still able to recover within a few days, to give you hope and show you that it is possible. It won't last forever. Kate's baby is 7 months old. They started struggling when the baby was 8 to 10 weeks old, and the baby had reflux and CMPA, which is cow's milk protein allergy. Kate tried a feeding therapist, went to the pediatrician, but nobody could help, and eventually she just resorted to feed the baby in her sleep during the day and at night too, and it was isolating. She was stuck at home and she didn't have hope, and she was really sweet. You will hear at the end in the interview, she shared that she was anxious that I picked them for the case study because she didn't want to let me down, thinking that no way I can help her baby. So it's a sweet thing that she was worried about me, not about herself. Before we get started, I want to remind you I have an ebook called Gentle Bottle Aversion Solution. You can find the link in the description and on the screen. If you want your baby to recover from bottle aversion within a week, then I recommend following the steps in my book. And if you want more support, you want to work with me one-on-one, you can find more information about my consultation program again in the description and on the screen too. Let's get started. First, I'm going to show you how Everly was before we started working, and I'm going to show you a snippet of the before video. Hey. Every time I work with a family, we start with a consultation call, which is a video call on Zoom, 60 to 90 minutes. So that's how we started with Kate. We went through all the history. I wanted to understand her baby and their unique situation better. And after that, I guided Kate through my program. We talked about the feeding process, pressuring, how to stop pressuring, the night feeds, how to avoid dehydration, what to do with solids, what to do with Kate's thinking during the process to make it easier for her, answered all of her questions, talked about schedule. At the end, Kate was ready to start the process. I will show you a part of the consultation call. Babies are not required to attend the consultation call. It's actually better if they don't, so parents can pay attention to the conversation better. But in this case, Kate's baby Everly was on the call and she was sleeping and it was time to feed. So Kate attempted a dream feed and it wasn't successful. Let's see what happened. Do you want to feed her now or a bit later?
I might try her now if you don't mind. Hopefully
yeah, okay. I want to see her anyway when she's actually drinking, just to see the flow.
Okay, right. I know. All right, all right. sometimes it can take a few tries.
Okay.
Has
So
to be a
she
quick transition.
does she usually wake up when you try to dream feed?
Okay.
Not yet.
Try again in a minute.
Yeah. So does she do this at night too when you try to feed? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, most of the feeds. Just
Uh-huh.
depends how tired she is and how long into her nap I
Uh-huh.
try really, but yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, which is why at the moment we were recommended to reduce the feeds and kind of push on weaning because she wasn't really taking much. So
10 minutes into the call, Kate attempted the dream feed again, and this time it was successful. Let's see a little snippet of that.
I'll just try quickly. Okay, I was quite happy with it, yeah.
During our consultation call, we talked about what bottle aversion is and how to solve it in general. Bottle aversion is caused by linking negative feelings to feeds, and that means the feeding position, the bottle, and the feeding process. And if you use a bib, the bib too. The only time babies don't link negative feelings to the feeding position is when they are in that position for sleep or comfort, so other things as well. So they have
Yeah.
positive feelings with it, and then they are fine in the cradle position. So that's good. We can keep the cradle position for the program. Otherwise, we would have to change it. We will link positive feelings to the bottle itself. That will take about 10 minutes. I will explain that at the end so it's fresh in your mind. Well, you won't be able to do it today, but tomorrow morning you can start with it and
Yeah.
then start the program after. And the feeding process, that takes longer, typically a few days. It could be 2 days, 3 days. The average recovery time is between 3 and 5 days. So to solve bottle aversion, we need to link positive feelings to all these, the feeding position, well, she's fine with that, the bottle, and the feeding process. So the feeding process is the one that will take longer. The rest will be a quick fix. A big part of linking positive feelings to the feeding process is to stop pressuring. And
Yeah.
I will explain first what I mean by pressuring, in my experience, what babies experience as pressure, because it's not just forcing the baby to feed. It could be the rest, most of them are subtle pressure. So I want to go through what I mean by it, and then you can take a mental note that, okay, you've been doing that, stop doing that. So every feeding has to be fully awake, except one night feed. So I start with the one I know that you're doing, distraction. That's a form of pressure because her attention is not on feeds. That's why you can feed her sometimes. So her attention is on the TV, and then she's not aware of what's happening, and you can put the nipple in her mouth, and then she's looking at the TV and drinks. But anything else that removes attention from feeds, I call distraction. It could be walking around
I
or
do that.
playing while you do that too. Okay, while playing, somebody else is playing with her while you're feeding, or you are playing with her while feeding. Anything that you do to remove her attention from feeds, I call distraction. So if you think, okay, I'm gonna do this to get her to drink, or to get her to accept, or to get her to drink more, then you can be sure that's distraction. We want her full attention on the feed, boring, nothing else is going on, and she can decide if she wants or not, because that's what will help her to feel in control, and that will help her to trust the feeds that, okay, I'm in control. If I say no, the bottle goes away. If I say yes, I can drink. So the only way she can do that is that her full attention is there. She's fully awake. The obvious one, forcing, so she doesn't open her mouth, or there's a slight opening, and then you just use your strength, your force to push through the nipple and start feeding. There are 5 more ways you may be pressuring your baby, so those are important to know, and you may find that somewhere on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. We are not going into those here. We talked about dehydration, how to avoid dehydration so Kate wouldn't have to worry about that. To avoid dehydration, she needs to have around 10 ounces in 24 hours. So with this one night feed, she always have 5 to 7 ounces. So she needs to have just 2-3 ounces during the day to avoid dehydration with this one night feed. We also talked about solids, what to do with solids. No solids for a week, please, at all, so she can focus on bottles. And then we'll see how she's doing this week. And if you want, you may start adding solids back next week or wait another week. I'd like to wait at least 2 weeks so she can focus on bottles and increase her volume, because she's 7 months old, so there's 5 more months for her to go with main nutrition with the formula. So she's not close to 1 year old, so she should have the maximum that she can have from formula. So I'd recommend 2 weeks of no solids, because babies after recovering from aversion, they take 1 to 4 weeks to increase volume. So she will recover within, let's say, 5 days or a week to be safe. And then after that, she will need some time to increase the volume. So it's not like she will be over the aversion and suddenly she will start drinking as much as she needs. It will take 1 to 4 weeks, depends how fast or slow she is with increasing the volume. During our call, I demonstrated how to offer the bottle to Everly each time. Let's talk about the feeding process. So you will put her in your arms and just give her a few seconds to calm down. Not calm down, settle down, assuming she's calm. If she's not, then calm her down. And show her the bottle, and you can ask, you want your baba, or you can say whatever you'd like. The goal here is for her to look at the bottle and then watch for her reaction. If she's neutral or positive, then get close to her mouth. And if she opens, then start to feed. And if she doesn't, if she keeps her mouth shut, that means she doesn't want, or maybe turns her head, or I saw in the video pushing the bottle away, that means she doesn't want it. So you may not even get close to her mouth and she pushes it away like in the video, then that's it. She already said no. Put the bottle down and take a minute break. You can keep her in your arms if she likes being there, and you can play with her. If you want, you can use the pacifier. I don't recommend it because she can get upset when you take it away. But if she's too upset, then it's okay to use the pacifier. But before you show her the bottle, take the passy out. So let's say you can play with your hands, or you can use a small toy too. Again, I don't recommend toys because she may get upset when you take it away. But if she is not happy otherwise, then it's okay to use a toy, but make sure she's fine after you take it away before you show her the bottle. So she will react to the bottle, not to taking the toy away. Yeah. So she's calm. Second offer, like a minute, 2 minutes later, again, show her the bottle. You want your baba. And then if she's neutral or positive, get close to her mouth. Let's say she takes it this time and she starts drinking, but after a few sips, what does she do? Turns her head to the side. Yeah. Then that means she's done. She took it, but she was done for the moment. So remove the bottle and put it down again. And then keep her happy as much as possible in the break, in the feeding position if she's fine there. And give her a minute or so, and then offer once more the third time. Do you want your baba? And then if she's neutral or positive, get close to her mouth. If she opens, start to feed. Let's say she opened again, but 2 sips later, she was done. Then end the feed. So each time you would offer 3 times with a minute or 2 minutes in between. So not long in between, but enough to take a long enough break. and if possible, keep her happy or at least calm during that time, because we want her to have an enjoyable experience. So even if she doesn't drink anything, these count. So each feeding experience counts toward recovery. She has a good experience. She's fully in control. When she said no, the bottle went away. When she said yeah, the bottle stayed. And this will count. So she had a good time between offers. So overall, this experience is positive for her. So these will add up and that will create the change. What to do if your baby doesn't show hunger cues? That's what we talked about next. And since she doesn't show hunger cues, I would like you to follow a schedule, which will be a flexible schedule. It will be based on how much she drinks. So there will be way more offers than you used to. But hopefully after a few days she will start drinking, and then it will be less and less. And she may not drink, 7 ounces at each feed. She will likely start with less, or who knows? She may start with 7 ounces. I doubt it. She may start with 3 ounces or 4, and then slowly increase it. 7 ounces is a good bottle for her. When she drinks 7 ounces during the day, how long do you wait between bottles?
Probably about 6 hours.
Mm.
Just because she has a meal between that as well.
All right, okay.
Before I started weaning, we do about 3.5.
3.5, and then she was able to drink another 7 ounces after that?
Between 5 and 7 before it got more difficult, yeah.
Okay. I'll assume if she drinks 7 ounces, that's 4 hours. So if she has 1.5 ounce, no, let's do 1 ounce or less, then wait 1 hour.
Okay.
If she has between an ounce and 3 ounces, wait 2 hours. If she has between 3 and 4, wait 2.5 hours. And if she has more than 4, then wait 3 hours. After our consultation call, Kate was ready to start the program. Every time, the first step, or I call it step 0, is to link positive feelings to the bottle, because if the baby feels good about the bottle, then the speed of recovery is way faster. So that's what Kate did the first day. We had 6 hours of time difference, so I wanted to make sure that this worked. So the first step that Kate did was step 0, the joyful reconnecting process. I developed this process to link positive feelings to the bottle itself. It takes about 10 minutes, so it's a quick process, and it has to work before we can start the program. So that was Kate's first task.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Where's she going? Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. I'm gonna do. What's this? I'm looking at my phone. What's this? What's this? Up, 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 boo. Up, 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 boo.
The next day, Kate was ready to start the program. The joyful reconnecting process worked. So this is day 1 of the program, and you will see the first 4 feeds. They didn't go well.
What's Mummy got? Yeah. Oh, this is good. Yes. Oh, okay. Let's try again. Because you are happy for it to be in your mouth. Well done. Good girl. This is great. Oh, okay. That's fine. We're going to hang on a minute.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay! What's this? Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's just hit 180 now. Has it? Yeah. So does the light go out once it's... Oh, okay. Yeah. It's definitely working. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, good girl. You might be able to advise what to do on the next one. So she's grabbing it, and it's like she wants it. She's just put it into her mouth herself. So I think she wants it, and she's hungry. It's just how long it stays in there for. It's good that she's taking it herself. That's really good. I don't think you're afraid of the bottle, are you? It's just what happens when you drink. Oh, good girl. Well done. So she's just pulled away now. Now that's the third attempt. She's had, I'd say, about ½ an ounce in total. Just. Oh yeah, well done. So she's taken it and she's put it in her mouth herself. I drink it, but so she's opened her mouth to pull away. So I'll put it down. It's like she wants it, and then the minute she's like, oh no, that's milk, she's like, oh no, put it away.
After these first 4 feeds, where Everly had good behavior, positive behavior, but didn't drink much, almost anything. After these, we had a breakthrough. Everly took the bottle and drank 4 ounces. And she did the same with the next feed, and she even drank her whole bottle at bedtime.
No, I can't get it in quick enough. Oh, good girl. So the milk that's dripping is just wiping. Shaking it, and I didn't have a chance to wipe it because you were so keen, weren't you? Hey? You were so keen. You want it back? Okay, that's good. Yes.
Overall, it was a great day 1. Many times babies don't drink anything on the first day, even if the behavior is positive. So Everly started drinking in the afternoon, which is a great first day. Day 2 of the program, Everly was very excited in the morning. She didn't have any milk at night, but she didn't drink much in the first 2 feeds.
Ready? Oh, hang on. Oh, good girl. Okay. you'd like? Good girl.
During the third feed, Everly drank a good amount, but there were too many offers, and that's a form of pressure, so Everly unfortunately regressed. You will see in the next 3 feeds there were lots of crying and refusal.
What's this? What's this? What is it?
Regressions happen, but there is a fix to that. Do you remember my joyful reconnecting process? I asked Kate to repeat that process, and let's see what happened after.
Okay, it is Abba's full. We've done the joyful reconnecting. And good girl. Oh yes. Good girl.
As you could see, Everly's behavior became positive again. She didn't drink much though, but the behavior was positive for the rest of the day. And at this point of the program, volume doesn't matter. If the behavior is positive, volume will follow. Throughout the day, she had 5 ounces of milk, so we needed to add one night feed to avoid dehydration. Let's see what happened on day 3.
So good. You want it? Yeah, good girl. Well done. I've done the saline spray and I've done the nasal aspirator, but I think she's still bunged up. Hopefully it's not going to cause too much of a hindrance, because I think she wants it. Emily, what's this? You have to relax.
Day 3 went very well. Everly accepted every feed and drank a good amount. Overall, she had 16 ounces throughout the day, and they forgot to give her a bedtime bottle, so she had 1 extra bottle at night, 6 ounces. So overall, great volume, great behavior. Everly is officially over the bottle aversion. The next few days will be repetition. Babies need time to increase their volume, so that's what's coming up next. On day 7, Kate added 1 solid meal back because Everly increased her volume very quickly, quicker than average. And on day 8, they did 2 solid meals. At the end of our work together, we chatted with Kate about her experience, and that's what you're gonna see next. I'd like to ask you some questions, kind of just go through your story, how it started, and then going into working with me, how it was for you. And I asked on I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or if you
Yeah, I do.
okay,
I saw,
I asked my audience if they have any questions for you, so they do. So I'm gonna ask a few questions that other moms asked you, and then we just close. So I think half an hour or so.
Yeah, okay, great.
So let's just start. If you could share your story, like when did you notice that things are different and it may be a problem? So how did you realize there was a problem? If you could just go back in time.
Yeah, so I'd say from around whenever he was 3 weeks old, the reflux started kicking in. And I noticed that early because my other 2 sons had reflux. So went to the GP. We started on omeprazole from about 4 weeks old, which is, quite early to do that, really. So we tried that, and then my GP got advice from a pediatrician because of Emily's health conditions. She's under a pediatrician and quite a vast, consult team as well. So they were really good in the sense that they said that actually we could, don't rule it out. Reflux could be because of a cow's milk allergy. So we also trialed a lot of different formula as well. And it took us a while to get settled on the right formula. And I think through those changes and getting that balance with the thickener as well, I started to notice kind of from late December, early January, that it was getting a lot harder to feed
How
her.
old was she then?
She would have been 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay, and she's 7 months now, right?
She is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah.
What, 5 months
Um,
ago?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um, And yeah, things just got harder as time went on. And I think I was because obviously at that time her only intake was milk, I was so obsessed with how much she was drinking.
Mm,
And, I wanted her to finish her bottles like she was doing before. And when she wasn't, I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? So looking back, I can see that I was really pressuring her. Even when she
mm-hmm,
was doing this, I was following her with the bottle.
mm,
And then it got to a point where actually I soon realised if I wanted her to drink, I had to get her asleep to do that, or I was carrying her around the house, bouncing her with the TV
mm-hmm,
on. I was doing kind of anything I could to get the milk in her, not realising that actually, yeah, I was probably making things a lot worse.
mm,
So, like I said, we went and saw an infant feeding specialist because I was getting concerned about how difficult it was to feed her, and I didn't really understand what was going on.
mm-hmm,
Um, and their advice really was that because she was already a good weight, to starve her out basically
mm-hmm,
until she decides that she's going to drink. They said to leave it 3 to 4 hours between each offer. Um, and there was no advice around what the minimum intake she should have. They kind of said that actually, because of her weight, don't worry about it.
mm,
So when we started it, I kind of my anxiety took over because actually I was worried about dehydration. She was having dry nappies. We were on I think it was halfway through day 2, and I still wasn't kind of seeing anything at all, not even a little glimmer of hope. Um, and yeah, I just said I couldn't do it anymore, and I just went back to feeding her in her sleep.
mm-hmm,
Um, I'd asked on Instagram, through mums that I follow and things, how they got over their aversion, and actually one mum told me to follow you.
uh-huh,
Um, and I watched some of your videos, and I think I felt a little bit, how do I get started? So once I saw that you were offering a case study, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to try this because, I go back to work in just over 2 weeks' time. Everly's going to be going into full-time childcare, and the thought
Okay,
of
so it's a
her,
very good timing then.
perfect timing,
Perfect. Okay.
the thought of her, not being able to have any milk all day or anything if they can't feed her was really
Mm.
kind of playing on my mind and worrying me. Um, so yeah, and then you kind of kindly got back to me and said that you chose us, and I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you.
So for you tried this with the feeding therapist and then you went back to dream feeding. Did you try anything else in the meantime?
No, I kind of just isolated us, to be honest.
Mm,
I felt like anyone I turned to, we saw Everly's pediatrician a couple of times, and I'd mentioned it to them, and their only advice was to just start weaning and go full force with it so that she could just take
mm,
less and less milk. Um, but I just kind of got to a stage where actually I had such anxiety over the fact that I needed to get her asleep to drink, and sometimes she'd be hungry, and so it'd be
mm,
harder to get her to sleep. So depending on how much she drank, it just our days went by whereby actually we weren't going anywhere because the thought of having to feed her out
mm.
um was just not something I wanted to even try and attempt. So
Yeah.
I lived my life around making sure I was home to get her
Mm,
to sleep, to feed. Her routine
mm,
was obviously all around that as well. Um, so yeah, I found it quite hard, and I think when I tried it the first time after the infant feeding specialist, I felt like actually, this is just too hard to try, and I'm too worried about her not drinking enough. So I'll just try and make do in whatever way we can, even though the lifestyle that we were, wasn't really ideal. It was hard,
yeah.
and I felt like anyone I tried to explain it to didn't really understand, and because they haven't been through it, so they don't really get
Right.
actually how hard it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard that baby will eat when they're hungry?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have heard that, and I tried to say to them, no, she won't.
Yeah.
And they just kind
Yeah.
of roll their eyes, like, I'm
Yeah, I
just
know.
being over exaggerating it. But yeah, so it's quite an isolating thing to go
Yeah,
through,
it
I think.
is. It is. Did you have any anxiety before we got started? You applied for the case study, and then before we started, did you have any anxieties or fears or worries?
Yeah, I was actually really worried at the fact that you'd chosen us and it wouldn't work because Everly was just this case that couldn't be broken,
Uh-huh.
That I was really worried that we were going to let you down, to be honest, and the
Oh,
fact
you
that
sweet. You were not worried about yourself or your baby.
no, I just yeah, I when we were getting through it so quickly, I just actually couldn't believe that it was happening. Um, yeah, it's been fantastic, and I think.
I'll tell you something why I chose you. Because I wanted the most severe case that out of
Oh,
those who applied, I wanted to work with the worst, the most severe one because I wanted to help too. And I also thought that if other moms see somebody who's been struggling for a long time and doing so poorly can recover, then it gives them hope too that okay, their babies can recover too. So your fear was actually my reason to choose you. That's
uh,
interesting.
we're honestly, I can't thank you enough because our life, it's only been a week, and the difference in just our day to day, you couldn't actually imagine just how different our day looks, and it's so much more relaxed. We can go to everyone. Everly's happier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's made such a difference.
And you have two other children, right? So I imagine you can spend more time with them. They don't have to walk on eggshells when it's time to feed.
Exactly that. So every feed time, because she had to be asleep to do it, but I also have a 3 and a 6-year-old, so I couldn't just kind of go and hide away
and not be able to watch, especially what my 3-year-old's doing.
Yeah.
So they're just crazy boys that destroy the place. So I had to kind of still be around. So yes, it was very stressful when they were home and it came to getting her to sleep, because they obviously want to be noisy, they want to play, and I'm constantly saying to them, you have to be quiet. If you be quiet,
Yeah.
I'll give you a treat or something like that,
Yeah.
because if she woke up, there was no way I was getting her milk down her. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Could you just talk a little bit about how was it for you working together? Just your experience on your side?
Yeah, really good. I can't recommend it enough. So obviously to start with, I wasn't too sure what to expect. So I had the video call with you and you kind of explained to me what I needed to do, and that was really helpful just to see you with the bottle. And it's one thing, isn't it, to say to someone do this, but actually to have that demonstrated to you was really helpful. So I kind of took it in a bit more, I think. And then you obviously ran through about, if she doesn't have anything, I can try again in an hour, and there's some flexibility to it. It doesn't have to be completely rigid. So once I got started, I felt, quite well equipped on what I needed to do. And I was reassured in the sense that I knew I was recording these feeds so that if I wasn't doing something right, once I sent it to you, you could let me know what I needed to do differently. I think having that made all the difference, to be honest, because I didn't feel alone in it. It didn't feel like, I was going through it by the day. And actually, when I had all these questions, which to start with, I did have quite a few questions and I was a little bit anxious and worried, but having that, response back, do this, no, you can do that, try this, just made all the difference. And I think having that is what got us through it. I do think, if I didn't have someone to turn to and ask questions and get advice from, perhaps we wouldn't have got it through as quickly as we did, or perhaps not even at all. I don't know. I think the method really, really worked well, but also for my anxiety and sanity, having someone to chat to and ask for advice got me through it, not just Everly.
Yeah.
So I think I'm quite a big factor in, whether she achieved it or not, because I'm the one that has to keep going and persevering. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then she got over the aversion by day 4, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, day
Yeah,
4,
she was.
when she was clearly over the aversion.
Yes, yeah.
I was gonna ask a question about that. Anyway, I left my head. Oh yeah. So it's been a week, right? Or 8
Yeah.
days? How many? I don't know. 8 days. No, we
We
started
started last
what
Wednesday.
Wednesday and it's Thursday. So 8 days, right? 8
Yeah.
days. And then where she's now compared to where she was before she started, just to see the difference.
Yeah, so before we started, she had to be fully asleep. I had to get her to sleep and leave it at least 10 minutes for her to be in a good sleep. And even then, it didn't always work. If I tried the bottle, I wouldn't always be successful, or she might wake up on it and get angry. So it really was hit and miss, and I was averaging around 13 ounces on a good day, probably, to be honest with you. And I was just trying to fill her up by weaning and solids and getting as much water into her as I could. And now she is drinking anything between 25 to 30 ounces. And she is taking the bottle off me. She's crying when I remove the bottle because she wants it back. So we've done a complete turnaround as to where we are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's totally the opposite, right? And every
Yeah.
feed are fully awake.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I have a few questions that the moms asked you, so I'm gonna ask those now. Uh, Tell us what helped the most.
Um, Having you, I think, to bounce back off, ask questions, see the videos, give me advice back. I think that was the biggest thing, because although I could, make sure I didn't apply any pressure, I think my anxiety to keep going and keep persevering, having that reassurance all the time was what got us through it. as quickly as we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Did your baby lose a lot of weight during the process of aversion solution?
No.
No.
Well, I haven't weighed her, but she certainly doesn't look as if she's weighed any weight, lost any weight at all.
Yeah, and it was, I think, too quick for her to lose too much,
Yeah.
at least maybe a
Yeah.
few grams. But yeah, I think it was, and she didn't. The first day was she had maybe with the extra feed 12, 13 ounces, so she didn't have too much less with the extra feed we added than before. So I don't think
No.
she probably just didn't gain for a few days, but I don't think she lost much. We
No.
didn't check, so that's the
Yeah, but there's been absolutely no concern over that, so no.
yeah. Okay. And this I got several versions of this question, so this was the main question. How did you deal with the stress and anxiety during the process?
Yeah. I think, like I've already said, is I knew, obviously, we have a time difference, so I'm in the UK, but I knew come, say, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, I was going to get the reassurance I needed and the feedback I needed to keep going and
Mhm,
keep pushing through. Um, so actually, even if we, to start with, didn't have a great morning, by the afternoon, I had, the advice and the reassurance I needed to keep going and alter it throughout, the rest of the day.
mhm,
And I think that was the biggest thing. You do have to, although you do need to track the feeds, to know that, she's getting over the aversion and she's drinking more and progressing each day. You do just have to kind of say, well, actually, you know, I know that if for any reason the day hasn't been good, I've still got that dream feed at night to make up the minimum amount. And that's
mhm,
always reassuring as well, because you know that
mhm,
at least she's going to get the minimum amount, and
mhm.
that's, yeah, always there.
Yeah, that's great. And then one more, any correlation to getting the rotavirus vaccine when it started? Because that's a common cause of aversion. Did you notice that it started after getting her 2 or 4 month vaccines?
Oh gosh, I'd never heard of that before.
Mhm.
She had her first lot at 8 weeks, so I guess there could be.
So she
But to
started
be honest,
after? Yeah, she said 8 to 10 weeks.
yeah, yeah. I just never really thought about it before, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. It's not something I'd ever known could be linked, but I suppose there is a possibility. Yeah,
Nobody talks about this. This is my observation, and our daughter started after too. And I know I worked with babies who started after, so it's not a
yeah.
known thing, and no doctors talk about this. So, but yeah, I talk about this on my social media. So, a mom who had the problem with the vaccine asked that if you had the similar experience or same.
Yeah, I guess looking back, it could have well been.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I think
Yeah.
because the reflux and the cow's milk allergy were at play as well. Um, I don't know for sure, but there is a possibility.
Okay. Okay, and then one last question. What would you tell those moms who are going through what you were going through right now? And if they are thinking of working with me, what would be your
Absolutely
advice?
do it. Do it. Just, yeah, I think your method is different and a lot kinder, which makes it easier to achieve it, I think. So, I was that mum that was like, oh my God, this is not gonna work. My baby cannot be cured. We're gonna let you down and it's gonna be a failure. And actually, she turned it around and she's just a completely different baby. And yeah, I could not imagine before we started that we would be where we are now. So absolutely go for it.
Thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
thank you for trusting me with your baby and accepting that it's gonna be public. I imagine it was not probably not an easy decision. And it means a lot to me. Thank you for letting me help you and your baby.
Thank you. I honestly can't thank you enough. And obviously you've been so kind in saying that, you know, if we have any questions in the future, we can come
Yes,
to you.
please do.
Yeah, that's an amazing offer, because, you know, I know that babies with aversion can sometimes regress quite easily. So yeah, that's really kind. Thank you.
I hope watching Kate and her baby gives you hope that it's possible for your baby to recover, and it doesn't even take long. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I share a new video every Wednesday.